Good morning. It's June 30th, and we are in 2 Kings 17 now. And just wanted to do a little bit of a explanation of the circumstances that are happening here. So we're finally getting to the point where the northern kingdom of Israel is about to be destroyed by Assyria. And it's interesting how the author here gives us somewhat of a political explanation first. And I think it's instructive for us because we tend to think, I think, primarily of causation coming from natural things. We've been kind of taught this by the Enlightenment and everything since that there's a cause and an effect that come from natural sources. So maybe it's something political, maybe it's something weather related, maybe it's something germ related that causes events to happen. And I think we've reduced our world to things we can measure and see and write down and experiment with. But and that's what the author here does. He starts with that. He says, "In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, Hoshea son of Elah became king of Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 9 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, but not like the kings of Israel who preceded him." Shalmaneser, king of Assyria. Okay, so now we're talking about a foreign empire. The king of Assyria here came up to attack Hoshea, who had been Shalmaneser's vassal and had paid him tribute. So what happens here is because Israel is a smaller nation, they need protection from the others around them and from the other big empires. And so what they've done is they've decided to pay tribute to Assyria every year so that Assyria will protect them. They become a vassal state, and that means they got to pay taxes to Assyria, but in exchange, they get to be protected from invasion from others. But the king of Assyria discovered that Hoshea was a traitor, for he had sent envoys to So, king of Egypt. So what he's done is he's gone to another empire, and he said, "What if we start paying you tribute? Maybe you can protect us." And that makes him a traitor then, because the ones that Assyria is protecting Israel from is Egypt. And so now they're kind of playing both sides of the fence here. And he no longer paid tribute to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Now they can't put up with that, because if everybody stops paying their tribute, then the empire ceases to exist. And so Assyria can't let that kind of behavior go. Therefore, Shalmaneser seized him and put him in prison. The king of Assyria invaded the entire land, marched against Samaria, and laid siege to it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria, captured Samaria and deported the Israelites to Assyria. He settled them in Halah in Gozan on the Habor River and in the towns of the Medes. And then he gives us the theological explanation of what's really going on here. What is God doing at the higher level of causation? He says this: "All this took place because the Israelites had sinned against the Lord their God, who had brought them up out of Egypt from under the power of Pharaoh king of Egypt. They worshipped other gods and followed the practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before them, as well as the practices the kings of Israel had introduced. The Israelites secretly did things against the Lord their God that were not right. From watchtower to fortified city, they built themselves high places in all their towns. They set up sacred stones and Asherah poles on every high hill and on every spreading tree. At every high place they burned incense, as the nations whom the Lord had driven out before them had done. They did wicked things that aroused the Lord's anger. They worshipped idols, though the Lord had said, 'You shall not do this.' The Lord warned Israel and Judah through all his prophets and seers, 'Turn from your evil ways, observe my commands and decrees, in accordance with the entire law that I command your ancestors to obey, and that I delivered to you through my prophets, my servants and prophets.' But they would not listen, and were as stiff-necked as their ancestors, who did not trust in the Lord their God." So it's because of their spiritual behavior that God is now causing this to happen. It's not because of Syria. It's not because of Egypt. It's not because of a failure to pay tribute. Ultimately, what's the cause of the exile is God is punishing his people for their disobedience. And actually, that punishment is meant to bring about repentance and return to him too. So it's ultimately about their redemption that God is bringing this about. So I think it's important to see the spiritual as well as the political consequences or causes for actions that happen in our world. That's it.